Okay, so we're currently recording now. If you're just joining in, thank you for joining us. And make sure that if you don't have your last name on the whatever the title of your phone is on the side, make sure you send a chat message so that we know who you are for the extra credit. So like I was saying, today we're focusing on the argument paragraph, which is Unit 7 for English 11. The first assignment, you're going to see there are 4 assignments you have to turn in to your teacher to grade. If you have me, awesome. If you have somebody else, totally fine too. But there are like 4 gradable assignments by the teacher. There are some other ones in there that I'm not going to talk about tonight that are not graded by the teacher. They're just auto-graded assignments. And if you have questions about those, you're always more than welcome to shoot me a message too. The first assignment is 711, which is choosing a topic. So this one is about what is actually going to be the topic that you're going to use for the whole rest of this unit. You have to pick a good topic. So there are certain topics that are good and certain topics that are not. A topic that is a solid topic, you want to make sure, sorry guys, I'm just going to make sure everybody's muted, that we, if you're not muted, you can mute yourself, or I can more than happy to go through and do that for you. Okay, so a good argument topic is going to be two-sided, meaning that you have one side and somebody could argue the other side, and it's also arguable, which kind of mean the same thing. The point of it is that you can't just choose a topic that nobody would argue against. You have to be able to look at both sides of the argument. Does anybody have any ideas for examples that they would come up with here for an arguable topic? And if you have an idea, you might have to unmute yourself because I think I've muted everybody here. Kind of just defeated the purpose. If you're looking
racism.
at
Racism.
Racism. Okay, so if you're looking at racism, you'd want to take something more specific about racism. You might want to say, you know, something that would have to do that somebody could argue against, because most people wouldn't. Oh, hopefully, most people wouldn't argue like being pro-racism, right? You wouldn't want to have to write a paragraph about why racism is good. It's not. So you want to have to pick something like somebody saying officers in a certain city are acting out of racism, or something like where you could then research it and decide, is that really true? Is there, you know, another side to something? But yeah, that's a good idea. So like you want to pick something that could be controversial. It doesn't have to be. The one that we're going to talk about for this group of this presentation is going to be whether or not online learning is as effective as face-to-face learning. So like that's not very controversial for the most part, but it does have 2 sides to it. Okay, for 7.1.1, if anybody's on that section of lessons, you're just picking a topic. A lot of times people try to like give me a whole explanation about why. And if you don't want to do that, you could save yourself a little bit of effort, because you don't have to. You just have to give me the actual topic of whatever you're going to talk about. The next assignment that comes up is 7.3.1, which is called Cite Your Sources. For a reliable source, when you're looking at something argumentative like this, you need to have an unbiased cite or article. So you don't want to look for an article that's like really pro one side. You want to look at something that gives you just general information. You want it to be as current as possible, so you don't want to look at something that's 10 years old. If you can find something that's relatively recent within the last year, that would be better. Books are always good because they are edited and published, meaning that somebody's like read them, looked at them, decided if they are actually accurate, and then published them, as opposed to somebody who just wrote a paragraph on a blog about something that is a little bit less reliable. Educational institutions, peer-reviewed journals, or scholarly articles are also really good sources of information, as are digital encyclopedias. So things like Encyclopedia Britannica or any encyclopedia online that you can find that has good sources. For this assignment, you have to find 2 different reliable sources. You need one that supports each side of your argument. So for today, we're talking about whether or not online education is effective. You would want to find one that gives you information about online education being effective, and one that gives you information about it maybe not being effective. You could use one article if it has both of those pieces of information, or you can use different articles. That's totally fine. For this specific assignment, 7.3.1, you are writing the topic, and then you are citing each source correctly in MLA format. A lot of times for this assignment, people make the mistake of just giving me a website or just listing the name of an article or something like that, but you need to actually have the citation to get the full credit. And since you're going to need the citation later, you might as well do it on here and get 100%. I'm going to show you a couple things about how to cite. I'm going to do this pretty briefly. 2 weeks ago, I had a more in-depth conversation about using citations, which you can go back and look at that one if you want to, but this is pretty much the quick rundown of what I talked about 2 weeks ago with that. So when you're looking at how to cite sources,
Technology this helpful could make history.
if somebody has a website maybe that's playing or something, thank you. Appreciate it.
This is sweet.
Let's see where.
I can see my teacher's monitor.
All right. So there are 2 websites that I would use if you're trying to do a citation. The first one is OWL Purdue. So I gave you the actual, this is the website you just type in, but I'm just going to click on it. And it takes you to the Purdue OWL website. When you look at this website, this is like the main page. You're going to go over here to this little box on the side, and you're going to go to the MLA Formatting and Style Guide. When you look at MLA Formatting, hold on one second.
I'll be ready for a nap.
Right.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Sorry, guys. Just trying to help. Make sure.
I'm sorry. So I have a question. I'm taking English 12, but do I stay in this live?
There's some more people now.
Can't figure it out here. All right. We'll just go with it. And if anybody's not muted, just put it on mute for me real quick and make it a little bit easier. Okay, so on the OWL website, on the Purdue OWL website, when you pull it up, you're going to look down, you scroll down, and it gives you a bunch of different information about how to find the specific pieces of a citation. So this is a good source if you just don't know how to find like the title of the container or any of those other things. It'll give you all these different pieces of information about how to do that. If you go to the side though, and you're looking online, usually it's electronic sources. So when you go to MLA Works Cited, electronic sources, it gives you more specific things about how to use different online sources. So if you are trying to cite a tweet or a YouTube video or an article or an email or any of those things, they give you more specific ways of how to cite those on the website here. So this is really helpful if you're trying to cite anything that's like strange and varied from just an actual literal website. The other thing that's helpful on here for when you're doing an actual works cited page, not necessarily for this assignment, but just trying to do the actual works cited page, is the basic format over here on the left. So when you click basic format, it gives you the information about how to do the works cited page itself. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on that because this assignment doesn't require it, but just so you know that it is there. Okay, the other thing that I would use if I were trying to do a citation is called easybib.com. So when you click on easybib.com, it pulls up this website. You're just going to click, I only want to create citations. Well, it lets me. You're going to choose MLA because that's what we're using here for English is always MLA. You're going to copy the website that you want to cite. So this is an article from Encyclopedia Britannica. So you copy the website, and then you just paste it over here. This is really cool because if you have something other than a website, like a book or a journal or newspaper or anything else, you can paste it in here too. But for most of what we're doing, it's new websites probably. You click cite, and you're going to have to click through a couple of different pages here about citing sources. Or it's going to say cite.
I mean, just do you, whatever that is. And if you're in the mood for a Diet Coke, have a Diet
And
Coke.
cite.
Diet Coke, because I am.
And you're going to continue on. Sorry guys, this is like a little laggy today. But it will eventually, at the end of it, the point is that at the end of this, it brings you to an actual citation. So when you get to the very end of it, you're going to be able to just copy the citation and print it, or not, copy it and paste it into your assignment. So when you get to the page, you'll scroll down and you'll see the citations right here. So you're going to copy something like this here. Oops, just the citation you need. And this isn't the one I actually just did. It's this one. Either way. You're going to copy the citation, and then you're going to want to put it into a Word document when you're doing a citation. Because if you try to do it in the comment section, a lot of times I'm noticing people have a hard time with the formatting of it. Sorry, my computer must be on overdrive here because we got a lot of people joining, which is great. So you're going to paste into your document, your citation. You have to have a double space. So you're going to highlight it, go to Format, Paragraph, and then where it says spacing, line spacing is going to be double. Okay.
Yeah. No.
All right. So you have a double space now. And then you're gonna put your cursor right here, click on it so that it's before your second line. You're gonna go to Format, Paragraph, where it says indentation, you go to Special and click Hanging, and then OK. So if you don't click and do the hanging indent that way, you're more than welcome to do it by hitting Tab and whatever else you'd like to do. But I will tell you that if you try to hit just Tab to do it, it makes it really difficult. It always wants to like move the whole thing over, and it's just kind of obnoxious. So that would be my recommendation, personally. Okay, so guys, I can't. Going back to our slides here. So those are the two different websites that I would use to look at citations. I actually put them on this next page here also so that you can pause the video if you're watching this back later. You can like pause the video and go ahead and look at this so that you'll see it, all the different stuff I talked about. This is the link for Purdue English, and then the other one was just easygood.com. All right, halfway there. So what questions do you have so far? If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to put them in the group chat. You can private chat them, or you can ask just by unmuting yourself and then asking your questions there. I see someone said you can, if you're English 10, you're more than welcome to ask questions about English related. I'll do my best. If I can't answer your question right now, I'm more than happy to look it up for you and answer it later. All right. Well, if nobody has a question, that's totally fine. We can just keep going. So we looked at 711 and 731 so far. 741 is the next part where you're going to actually be writing your argument. You are going to deal with one source in one paragraph at a time. And for each paragraph, you need to follow the format, and you need to have two different citations. They can be from the same source, but they have to be two different quotes from that source. So this is the citation, or this is the template that's provided for you in the assignment of 741. It has topic sentence, topic summarizing statement, and then these two different sentences with citations, commentary, and concluding sentence. You have to list the source at the bottom, and you should have already done that in the previous assignment. So all you'll have to do for the source is just to copy and paste it. Okay. If we go to the next slide here, I'm going to show you an actual example of what this paragraph looks like when it's written out. I did leave the taglines in here. So obviously, when you're writing your own paragraph, you don't have to leave these taglines in here unless you're doing an outline. But for this, I just wanted you to kind of see what those sentences are labeled. So a topic sentence is just what is the topic that you're talking about. You never want to put, I forgot on this page, I put no I thinks. You don't want to say, I think online learning is better than face-to-face learning. You just want to make the statement, and then you're going to prove it with the citations and the support that you put in the paragraph. So for a topic sentence, I wrote, online learning is better than face-to-face learning. The topic summarizing statement is just summarizing that idea. There is a lot of debate about whether online learning is beneficial to students. So for your concrete details, you're going to have two. Both of them have to be a quote from a source or a paraphrase from a source. I have two quotes. They're both from the same source. First of all, you're going to put a comma and a quotation mark. Accessibility and convenience were important advantages of this mode of education, with a quote at the end. Parenthetical citation at the end, the in-text citation, is going to be the last name of the person who wrote it, with a parenthesis and then the end mark. You're going to do another sentence here. In addition, networking could enable students' connections with each other and thereby reduce their sense of isolation. Citation. Then you're going to give a commentary, which is the opinion. There are a lot of reasons people take online classes. The concluding sentence, some students feel much more at ease and are more successful working online when compared to face-to-face classrooms. And then you're going to put your source at the bottom. The actual in-text citation is something that a lot of people aren't really 100% sure about how to do it yet, so I am going to show you that briefly also. Before I even show that to you, I want to show you over here on the Purdue OWL that you can also look at in-text citations. So if you go over here on the left-hand side, in-text citations is one of the options to look at, and they'll give you some different options as far as whether it's the page number. Like if you don't have just an author of an article, then they give you some other ideas here too. Okay, but looking at this, the in-text citation is going to look like I just showed you the sentence on the other page, but you have the quotation, they have a comma, the quote, the actual words you're using, the end quote, and then there's parentheses around the author's last name. I put it in blue so it's easy to see, but Simonson is the author's last name. The reason that you want to use the author's last name for this case is because that's the first thing listed when you're looking at your works cited page. If you don't have the author's last name and you just have like the title, you're going to put whatever is the first thing listed on your works cited page so that when you're looking at your works cited page, you're able to easily find where that came from. Okay? Looking at 7.4.2. You're not just pasting in the paragraph from the previous assignment. So 7.4.2 is about choosing a side. 7.4.1, you wrote two paragraphs. They were about opposite things, and they were taking the two different sides. For 7.4.2, which is choose a side, you're actually just choosing one of those sides to be the side you are on. And it's okay if that's not actually like the only side you feel like you can connect to. Sometimes people message me because they feel like, well, I can't pick. You just have to choose one for this assignment. I promise we're not going to hold it to you for the rest of your life. But you are not pasting the paragraph from the previous assignment and then turning it in. I noticed a lot of people do that. For this paragraph, you don't need any citations. It's going to be just information that you've gathered yourself and you can summarize it there. Okay? So you're going to have a topic sentence, a concrete detail. You're going to use one of the most compelling facts, but you're using it in your own words, so you don't actually have to quote it. And then you're going to give two sentences of commentary and a concluding sentence. Okay. I see a lot of messages blinking over here, so let me see if any questions. Okay. All right. That last part went faster than I thought. So at the end here, do we have any questions about those paragraphs? Anybody have questions? If you're trying to ask a question and you are on mute, you might have to unmute yourself. I see some questions about presentations. You're more than welcome to message me if you have like a question that you don't necessarily know yet about. Or if you have a specific question you know now, I can more than help you answer that.
When do the class start?
The actual English classes themselves are going to start depending on where you are in the program. Your academic advisor would be able to probably give you a more specific date just because I'm not the one who actually sets the classes up. Rachel, their academic advisor would know that, right? The AC? Oops.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah,
Oh,
the
no,
academic coach will know that the schedule. If you don't already have English on your dashboard, you may want to see, if you finished it or if you need to retake it. But classes are scheduled on a rolling basis. So everyone's in a different place in their course. You know, some of you are in English 9, English 10, English 11. Some of you are in week 2, week 3, week 1.
Because I had
And that's totally
English
fine.
9, but it's not on the thing no more.
Okay. It might be because classes end on Sundays, so it might have ended on, what was it, the 22nd, 2 days ago? But that's something to check with your academic coach and see, you know, what's going on with your specific schedule.
Okay. Is it like, so like, how can I put it? 'Cause it says something about I think I got like 2 credits left for English, and then the rest is the other classes I have. Be quiet!
Yeah, so your learning plan is something that's individual to each person. So for your teacher to go through that in this session, she wouldn't be able to do that. That's something your academic coach would cover with you. So you can always call that main academic coach line, the 855-945-5472, or send them a text and get some clarification. But it sounds like you would need a one-on-one for that to talk about your remaining credits.
Okay.
And then someone asked in the chat if they can watch the class again. So yes, Alice, you definitely can. These sessions are recorded, and we do them pretty regularly. So there actually is another English one tomorrow, if you want to check it out too. And again, you know, everyone in every level is welcome. So I'm going to turn this back to Leslie. So any question, any class, go for it. English related.
The link will be the same actually for tomorrow. So anytime that you are going to an English session, the link that you got tonight to come to this session will be the same, I believe, right, Rachel? Is that?
Yep. Any humanities courses, so English, social studies, some of the electives, arts classes will all have this same link. And then if you're in math or science, there's one other link. So we'll send you a reminder. You'll get an email tomorrow. That'll also come from me, so you know to log in.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions about English, anything?
How will we know if we got the extra credit from watching the videos and stuff?
I'm tracking attendance, so I'll put it in.
Asia, you wanted to talk about lesson 7.4, organizing the assignment.
Because it's not showing, like, for the extra credit with our credits, it's not showing.
The extra credit won't show because it doesn't automatically happen. If you know, logging to the session, I'm keeping track of attendance and we'll put it in later. So
Yeah, I'm saying,
looks
like,
like there was a question about lesson 7.4.
Yeah. Are you looking at 7.4.1 or 7.4.2? There's 2 different ones for that. You want to start with 7.1 and then do the next one too?
Are you talking to me?
Oh, no, I'm just in the chat. Asia had a question. All right.
No,
Yeah. I'm sorry, what?
No, my question was, like, how will we know if we got the extra credit? Because I was in this one, and then I was in the last one that y'all did, the video chat.
The extra credit, it just goes on one of your assignments. So one of them will bump up by 5%.
Okay.
Yeah. So you won't get like a notification or anything, but I have everyone's names down and it'll be added on.
Yeah,
so.
I'm just trying to figure it out because I don't have classes no more.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry about it. So, all right. So Asia, let's talk about organizing your argument.
Yeah, okay. So there is, the first one is writing both sides of an argument. I'm trying to scroll down so I can see. And then 7.4.2 is choosing a side. So writing both sides of the argument, when I was talking about, you're going to actually pick whatever topic you chose. You're going to try to you're writing a paragraph for supporting it and then a paragraph against it. So if, like the example I was using was, the example I was using was, is online learning better than face-to-face learning? And so the one side would be online learning is better than face-to-face learning, and the opposite side would be online learning is not better than face-to-face learning. So you would have a source that supports that it's better and a source that supports that it's not. So looking at, this is the outline that the format you're going to use for each paragraph. So topic sentence, you don't want to use the word I think. And I'm going to show you an actual example on the next page here. But this is like the different formats. So topic sentence, if you said, oh, okay, for the actual dress. So like this, is this the slide you're talking about right here? You do not have to use the outline tags, what we'd call these here, the little things in blue. You don't need to write those for this paragraph. We didn't really give you explicit directions on whether or not to use them, so if you did, I wouldn't take points off, but typically for this assignment, you don't need the actual tags. You're just gonna write the sentences. But when you're doing 7.4.2, you definitely don't wanna include the tags because you don't need them because you're just writing a paragraph. I have seen both ways though, and it's not a big deal either way. But make sure that you are churning, when you do the concrete details, make sure that you're using the citation with a parentheses and the person's last name at the end, so that I know who the quote's from, so that you can get credit for your citations there. I saw some questions about the rough draft. The rough draft, yes, this is a little bit different from a rough draft because it's more of a process about the argument itself than it is about like the 5-paragraph essays where you're going to have a rough draft after an outline. So you'll take out the outline tags. This is a little bit different, so it's not as big a deal. Did that answer your question, Asia? Yeah. Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions about anything with English? All right. Well, I'm going to stop recording. If anybody wants to hang out because they have something they wanted to ask, you're more than welcome. You can send me a private message if you want to, if you have a question. You're always more than welcome also to send me a chat message. I left my contact info up here, so my name is right here, but then also my email address. So you can send me a chat message, you can send me an email. However you want to get a hold of me is totally fine with me.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for doing dishes, guys.
Thank you.
Tomorrow's English session is going to be at 12:30 Pacific time, and